Larry O'Connell refereeing tonight and brings the two men together. Mason already been slightly aggressive in the preliminaries, advancing twice towards the corner of Lewis. And nobody's quite sure how the early running will go. Who's going to make the pace? 12 rounds, British and European titles at stake, and world ranking very much at stake. Lennox Lewis in black. He has the reach. He should be able to keep Mason away from him if he uses the left hand properly. And that presumably will be the tactic. Not clear who has the heavier punch. Mason going in with his head down. And told off. Lewis the faster of the two men. Neat little right uppercut from Lewis, and Lewis getting the early accurate punches in. Now Lewis caution for holding. Of the two men, Mason looks the more tense. Lewis pulling Mason onto him, trying to get him close to him where Mason can't exert any leverage. And again, a ticking off. All of Mason's danger lies in big swinging punches, but he needs to be a little bit away from Lewis to get him swinging. It's a promising start. Lewis well covered up with his arms in close as Mason tries to find his body. Lewis takes him on the arms. That's a beautiful right uppercut from Lewis as Mason advanced, wide open to it. No question at the moment, Lewis has scored all the early points. It's disturbing, I think, from Mason's point of view, how easy Lewis finds him with the right hand. Well, that was a very interesting opening round.
Harry, I think both of them were hurt in that round, you know? Very, very hurt.
This is scheduled for 12 rounds. And again, the snaking left hand of Lewis finds its way very easily into the face of Gary Mason. Well, they haven't wasted any time warming up. That's a good thump from Mason into the ribs of Lewis. That's the sort of punch that will slow him down if enough of them get through. Mason looking just slightly marked around the eyes. He's taken a few left hands. There's Mickey Duff, the manager of Mason, looking slightly anxious. Seeing his man boxed at long range, getting picked off. Lewis has looked the much more relaxed of the two so far. The superior speed and reach is telling at the moment. Mason's going to put his faith here in getting close enough and really go for one hell of a haymaker. Quite solid jabs. That's a bit of right hand from Mason, and that gave Lennox Lewis something to think about. He lowered his arms, he shrugged his shoulders, and I think he was a wee bit hurt. Low punch. That's a better jab from Mason. Similar pattern to the first round.
Terry.
Round 3.
Mason, of course, last year had serious eye problems and spent some months not knowing whether he'd ever be able to box again. "20 years ago, this very month, that Henry Cooper and Joe Bugner fought in this same ring, the last fight of Cooper's career. Lewis not moving quite so smoothly now as he was at the start, and Mason's right hand beginning to get through a little more often. Mason's right eye is looking a little suspect. He's got a slight swelling coming up underneath the right eye, and maybe even the start of a swelling under the left as well, and that's obviously the effects of Lewis's left jab. Mason's right eye is beginning to close. That's a good left jab again from Lewis. And Lewis, for all the talk about his lack of experience as a pro, is certainly fighting coolly enough here, but he's hurt again by a right hand, but comes instantly back. This is going to be no 12-rounder. Lewis takes a deep breath. He's beginning to puff a bit already. And the arms coming down and looking very ragged. Almost as though...
His eyes very cut,
and Mason's right eye looking worse by the moment. And cut now, there's blood around the right eye. Mason's right eye is seriously hurt. Lewis drops his arms again as Mason's right hand thunders into his head. Mason now, perhaps living on borrowed time. He needs a quick win because that eye is shutting at an alarming rate. Mason needs a KO blow here. Lewis standing there taking these punches, not entirely guarded against them either. And the bell stops the Mason onslaught, and the two of them have it.
Round 4.
Well, this fight has lived up to all the publicity. And one felt towards the end of the fourth that Lewis was beginning to lose his grip on it. Lewis has such a reach advantage here and so much mobility that he really doesn't need to allow Mason to get close to him. It's almost impossible to get a swelling like this down, and they haven't succeeded. And Mason is very close to looking out of just one eye. There is very bad feeling between these two now. There's a bit of taunting going on. Coming at that point from Lewis. And not surprisingly, there's an air of urgency. I won't say desperation, but certainly urgency about Mason's work, because he knows better than all of us that his time may be short in this fight. Lennox Lewis motioning Mason to come on. I wish he'd get on with the job and concentrate on it instead of doing the needling. He's got enough on his plate with Mason in front of him. Mason now the man who's picking the other man off. Pace is slowed down considerably. These are two very big men, 16-3 and 16-11, and they can't keep up a fast pace for too long. And that was a better round for Mason. In fact, Lewis spent most of the time needling Mason and not doing too much work. Would you agree with that, Frank?
Yeah, you could say that again. Gary's got...
And Lewis goes to work immediately with a big right. Didn't really concentrate on his work too well in the fourth, and maybe they've told him about it, and he's come out looking a little more efficient. These two are splitting £276,000 tonight, equally. Both champions. Had one been the champion, the other just the challenger, then it would have been split 60-40. Lewis's mouth looks quite marked. He's boxed open-mouthed all the way through, and the lower lip's beginning to look as though it's injured. And Mason trying to peer through this swollen eye, showing a lot of courage here, coming forward and trying his best here to get rid of the younger man. Lewis not really using his advantages again, not using his feet. He's standing within range of Mason's big punches. Earlier on, he was either circling away, well out of reach, or else coming in very close and claiming Mason. This is really becoming quite a brutal fight. Neither man has found the one really big punch that could turn the fight. All those are going through to the head of Lewis. He shrugs his shoulders again, he smiles. Lewis seems to have made up his mind that he can take any punch Mason cares to throw.
Get your head up, Lewis. Get your head up. 10 seconds, Gary.
Lewis's arm's coming down again. He's clearly tired. And there's a long, long way to go, providing Gary Mason he goes. Because Mr. O'Connor clearly has to watch that eye very, very carefully. Particularly in view of the trouble Mason has had with retina problems. Mr. O'Connell keeping himself quite cool, but he's having to work hard to keep this contest under control. The piercing left jab again, spearing its way into the battered face of Mason, and a good short, sharp right from Lewis. And Mason had better find a knockout punch pretty quickly.
Let go, Lewis, let go. Good shot.
Lewis not working too hard.
Wait, stand back.
The pair of them now looking pretty weary, and it's hardly surprising the way they've been at each other now for nearly 6 rounds. And Mason had to back off and stop attacking because of the punches coming his way. He tries again to force his way inside. But I wonder if I sense a touch of despair in Mason's work now. And again he's picked off with sharp, piercing, cutting punches. The left jab of Lewis has been the key punch. And Mason's beginning to take too many punches in that battered face. Mason's right eye is now certainly totally shut. Larry O'Connell had a good close look at it there, and I think he's going to have to make his mind up pretty shortly whether he allows this to go on. And Mason's got some blood on the left eye now as well. I'm not sure that he's cut there, but there's certainly some blood, and Mason breaks off.
7.
Mason looks like a man working in slow motion now. I don't know how long his courage can sustain him here. He's taking too much and he's badly hurt. He screwed his face up in pain, and I really do think this is going to have to be brought to an end in a minute. But Mason is having one last desperate go in round 7. He's putting everything into a do-or-die effort. And it's called off. That was the last fling for Gary Mason. And the sympathetic O'Connell puts his hands round the battered head of Mason and says, "You're not going to take any more, son." And that's right enough. And so Lennox Lewis is being joyously proclaimed now the British and European champion. He marks up his 15th successive professional win.